today I am going to show you how to do a belly dance bra and a belly dance belt. The belt base is already completed, so we're just going to be adding a little bit of bling and jinglies to it. But the bra is totally blank, so I will be adding a bunch of embellishments to that. Ribbon, rickrack, tasseling, cowrie shells, jewelry. And we're really gonna jazz it up and, make it look like a chow. Because you want the boobies to stand out when you're dancing, right? So that is the project that I will be working on today. I am gonna show you how to do it. For the belly dance bra, it will probably be a couple of days before it's completed because I will be gluing things down and then going over them with embroidery floss. And so it takes about 24 hours for the glue to dry completely and make sure that everything that I've glued down stays. So it will be a process. It usually takes a while to build your bra and your belt, and we need to wait 24 hours in between each setting for it to dry. So it's not that it's really hard work, it's just tedious and we have to take the time to let the belt dry. I like to layer my belly dance bras with a lot of things. I think the more coochie and cowrie shells and jewelry and ribbon that you have on the bra, the more busy it looks. I think the more authentic it looks, especially for tribal style belly dance. We want to have a plethora of things on us. Numerous amounts of jewelry, flowers, dupattas. We layer layers. That's really what it's all about for tribal belly dance. The more authentic you look and the better it looks when you're dancing, because you get all this movement from your jewelry and from your tassels and from your scarves and your flowers, and it's really interesting to the eye, I think. And as far as the belt goes, I have a belt base. I don't like everything on the belt base. I am probably going to take some of the beading off and replace it with either shells, jewelry, or ribbon. So the belt I'm going to be reworking a little bit. I'm not going to be starting completely over with that, but I'm going to be taking some of the things off that are just a little garish to me, and I really want to tone it down. There's a little bit too much color in it. I want to have just teal, chocolate, and taupe, and maybe a little bit light blue in the belly dance belt. Thank you so much for bearing with me and explaining, what I'm working on and what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to show you the entire process, and do keep in mind that it's tedious, it takes time, it takes days. You need to let things dry, and you can only layer so much at a time. So there we go. Let's get started. Here is what I have decided on. I'm going to use this gold ribbon. I used this on my other bra, the purple belly dance one. And these tassels, or bejeweled tassels, on the top part here. And I'm going to keep this bra pretty simple since it already has a bunch of lace. And then I will line the bottom with these jewels and cowrie shells. I only have a handful of these, and I have to have my husband cut off these spiky parts so I'm not getting stabbed. And then I'm going to use my fabric glue to glue the shells and these jewels down on the base of the bra, on the wire. And this also will be cut to size, and then I will glue it and probably end up stitching it using embroidery floss, just for the extra security so that it doesn't come off. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my handy dandy scissors. I'm just going to measure where I want this to go by putting it on the bra and cut it to size. And then I will glue it on and pin it. But the first part that has to be glued down is the gold ribbon, and then I can put the tassels over it and sort of cover the top here, and then end up gluing them with the cowrie shells. As you can see, I only have a handful of them, so I don't have enough to do all jewels along the bottom, so that's why I'm going to stagger with the cowrie shells. As you can see, I have used the glue, the Hobby Lobby fabric glue, and I've put it on this ribbon, and it will dry clear so you will not be able to see it. So we are back, and as you can see, it's been about 24 hours and I've let this gold ribbon dry, so I'm just going to take the pins, the sewing pins out. They should come out relatively easy. So now it is just a matter of gluing, and use a lot. Do not be afraid of using a lot of glue. The more, the better. It dries very clear, and it'll just stick better the more you have on there. And what I like about this glue is it's pretty forgiving. You can move stuff around when you need to. All right, so we're just gonna go like so. Stick the stuff on there. There's, there's a little bit of mess, but I always just wipe it off and it tends to be fine. So I'm gonna pin this down with my handy dandy pins, and then go back over and wipe off the parts that are just a little bit messy. So the next installment is, as you can see, I have laid out these cowrie shells and jewels in a pattern along the base of the wire, and so I'm going to just glue them down and then set the bra aside for the night. And this takes zero talent. You just attach the glue and set them down in the pattern that you desire. Okay, so as you can see, I'm done. I have glued all of these little embellishments on the underwire of the bra, and it looks pretty authentic and good. And so we're just gonna let it set and dry. So we are back, and all of this has been glued down. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take embroidery floss and a very thick needle, and I am going to sew this strip down, even though it's already been glued, because it gives it extra security, and that way I know that it's not going to come undone. So this is a tedious part, and it takes, I don't know, about 10 minutes or so to get this done. Hi, so we're back. As you can see, I got the embroidery floss stitched through the top of my tassels, and the next thing I'm going to do is glue on this jewel piece in the center, and then I'm going to use these little sparkly doodads on the top here, and I will use this little cowrie shell to space them so that they are spaced an even amount of times. And then in between, once I get those glued down, I will put these little guys, and that should create a uniform bedazzling on this strip here. So a bit of a time-consuming process, but after those things are glued on and dried, this project will be done. And I can't wait to wear this at a show. So as you can see, kind of, I don't know, I've glued this on. And now I'm going to take these little doodads and glue those on the top strip here. So I'm using this just to kind of give a loose measurement of where I should put my next jewel. And that way they will be pretty evenly spaced. I like to eyeball things as well, but when you have jewels, it looks really nice if they can be consistent. And I'm not too worried about the glue because it dries so clearly. And once it's setting, I can go in and clean it up. So yes, this will be the next tedious process of putting on these cute little gems. It won't be perfect because nothing I ever do is perfect. It's hard to be perfect when you're doing handmade stuff. But it's unique and original, and that's what I'm going for. Nobody else will have this bra, and that's what makes costuming so fun, is you get to use your creativity and show people who you are through your dress. All right. So as you can see, it looks really messy right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let these jewels set a little bit, and then I will probably come around with a Q-tip and just clean it up a little bit. All right, I'm back, and this time I am working on the belt. Remember in the intro I said that it's very colorful, and I'm sort of going for more of these taupe and dark brown colors and gold. So I've decided to take off this beading here, and although it's lovely, it's just not quite the style that I am going for. But I'm going to want to save it just in case I work on another project where I am doing something a little bit more colorful. So I'm just going to carefully take this beautiful beadwork off of the belt. And my plan is to use these beautiful cowrie shells. There we go. And I have this lots of bling. You can pick this up at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, any craft store really. And then I'm gonna use this pretty sparkly bling stuff on there too. As you can see, I've cut off this strip of beading. We'll put it over in our jar of belly dance jewelry and shells and use it later in another project. we're back. The last installment I did this bejeweling on the base of the belt, and now we are going to add the movement and jingles for the bottom of the belt. And what I have done is I have cut strips of these feather and yarn embellishments, and I've put them in a pattern. And what I will do first is sew these onto the back of the base of the belt. And then I am going to take this strip of beading and sew this on so that it kind of hangs down. Actually, this might be the first. Yeah, I might do, if you can see, I'm lifting up the belt. What I would do is I will sew the beading on and then the yarn embellishment. And then over that, I am going to put these jinglies on the base of the belt. And these jinglies over here as well. So you can see it's like a triangle jingly, and I'm gonna put those on the sides. And then finally there's this edge, and it has one of these beaded medallions, but I'm gonna pop that off and instead put this jingly right there. So, yes, first things first, we will sew on the beading, then the yarn embellishments, then the jingles. This I will probably glue on with the fabric glue that I use for all of my projects. So as you can see, it's going to be another tedious, time-consuming project. Really just sewing and gluing, sewing and gluing. I laid all this stuff out, so I have a plan of how it's going to work. And now it's just time to get started. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to glue this little strip down on the base of the belt here. Oop. And then I will pin it in place with my handy dandy sewing pins. Now I will also glue these down, and then with these I'm just gonna sew them on. So I'm gluing and sewing this strip, which means I have to wait for this glue to dry. I'll give it a couple hours, and then I'll come back and sew down these yarn embellishments onto the belt. And then we'll flip it over and sew on our jingles onto the front. So we are back, and I have these all glued and sewn on. The tassels, the beading, and my jingles. And now the last part, oh, and I took the medallions off and put these silver jingly ones on. And now the final part, we'll be taking embroidery floss and just stitching these jingles onto the lower portion of the belt. And then we will be done, and hopefully I can find some time to get all dressed up and show you my new creation. So yes, we're just doing a little bit of hand stitching, and this belt project will be complete. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you can see what I am doing. See? Just stitching, nothing fancy. Okay, so first things first, I'm gonna glue this little strip down on the base of the belt here. Oop. then I will pin it in place with my handy dandy sewing pins. Now I will also glue these down. And then with these, I'm just gonna sew them on. So I'm gluing and sewing this strip, which means I have to wait for this glue to dry. I'll give it a couple hours and then I'll come back and sew down these yarn embellishments onto the belt. And then we'll flip it over and sew on our jingles onto the front. So we are back, and I have these all glued and sewn on. The tassels, the beading, and my jingles. And now the last part, oh, and I took the medallions off and put these silver jingly ones on. And now the final part will be taking embroidery floss and just stitching these jingles onto the lower portion of the belt. And then we will be done, and hopefully I can find some time to get all dressed up and show you my new creation. So yes, we're just doing a little bit of hand stitching, and this belt project will be complete. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you can see what I am doing. See? Just stitching, nothing fancy.